Someone, at some point, looked at a ball on the ground and thought, how do you make billions of people care where this ends up? Somehow, that was enough. People would pay $1,000 to watch 22 grown adults chase a ball for 90 minutes. Because right now, at this exact moment, there are grown adults, doctors, lawyers, engineers, parents, grandparents, who cannot function properly because 11 men they have never met lost a football match last weekend.
People cry when their team loses, call in sick after a final, or tattoo another man's name and face on their arm because he kicked a ball better than everyone else. And somehow, none of that feels strange. But it should. Because if you showed football to someone who had never seen it before, no history, no context whatsoever, no culture, no rivalries, no World Cups, no Champions League, just a field, 90 minutes, 2 goalposts, a ball, and 22 people running around, they'd probably ask, why is everyone so emotional? And honestly, that's a fair question. Because football isn't valuable because of the ball, or the grass, or even the game itself. It's valuable because of what we decided it means. Think about it. A football shirt costs more than the fabric it's made from. A stadium is worth more when it's full than when it's empty. A player becomes worth $200 million, not because his body suddenly changed, but because millions of people believe he can change the outcome of a game. Here's what people get wrong about football's value. They think it's just about the sport, the tactics, the athleticism, the drama of a last-minute winner, the beauty of a perfectly weighted through ball that splits a defense and sets someone free one-on-one with the goalkeeper. That's not what football is selling. Football worked out something that took most industries decades and billions of dollars in marketing research to figure out. People don't pay for products. They pay for feelings. And take it or leave it, football is built on belief. And maybe that's true for almost everything. Money, universities, luxury brands, awards, countries, even the idea of borders. They're all invisible agreements, things that only exist because enough people decided they should. Most of the things we consider valuable only work because enough people collectively agree they are. Take money. A $100 bill is just ink on cotton paper. Naturally, it can't feed you. It can't build a house. It can't even keep you warm for very long. But now its value exists because we all agreed to pretend it does. Football works the same way. The rules are made. The offside rule didn't exist until someone invented it. Extra time didn't always exist. Penalty shootouts were introduced because people couldn't decide how games should end. Every part of football was imagined first, then accepted, then treated as though it had always existed. But football did something most sports never managed to do. It became an identity. Think about what actually happens when you support a football club. You don't choose it the way you choose a restaurant or a phone. Most people don't choose it at all. It's inherited. A grandfather supports a club. Then the son puts a shirt on his child before the child can read. A city wraps itself around a badge before a person understands what a badge means. By the time you're old enough to question it, it already feels like part of who you are. You don't support Arsenal. You are Arsenal. And that distinction between something you consume and something you are is the most valuable thing any business on earth can create. Because when something becomes identity, the economics change completely. You don't comparison shop
for your identity. You don't switch to a competitor because they're offering a better deal. You don't stop caring because the product got worse. If anything, you care more when things get worse. You stay loyal through relegation, through failed seasons, through managers who don't understand the club, through owners who don't care about the fans. You stay because leaving would feel like betraying yourself. That is not a customer. That is something far more valuable. And football has hundreds of millions of them. But loyalty alone doesn't build an industry. What turned football into an economy was the moment it found a way to scale the feeling. Then sponsorship understood what television had proven. Football fans don't just watch, they identify. A fan doesn't see a logo on a shirt as advertising. They see it as part of the badge, part of the identity. They wear it, they defend it, they buy it for their children. The logo stops being a commercial intrusion and becomes something close to sacred. That's not advertising. That's belonging by association. And every company on earth wants to be associated with something people belong to. So they paid for it. Kit deals, stadium naming rights, boot sponsorships, sleeve patches, player endorsements, training ground partnerships. Every visible surface of football became real estate. Every moment of attention became inventory. And the inventory never runs out because the fans never stop watching. Then came the part nobody predicted. Globalization made local clubs into global religions. Manchester United started selling shirts in Jakarta. Real Madrid held preseason tours in Los Angeles. Barcelona's social media following grew larger than the population of most countries. A club that plays in one city, in one league, in one country, somehow became the emotional home of people who had never been anywhere near that city, that league, or that country. How? Because football doesn't need translation. The feeling of a goal doesn't require subtitles. The agony of a missed penalty crosses every language barrier. The tribal joy of beating your rival communicates itself in any time zone to any culture, regardless of whether you've ever set foot in the place you're cheering for. Football is the only product on earth that is simultaneously local enough to feel personal and universal enough to travel everywhere without losing anything. That combination has never existed before. It may never exist again. And suddenly, a game has become an economy. That's the part we rarely think about. Football isn't selling entertainment. It's selling belonging. The feeling that somewhere in the world, there are millions of strangers celebrating and suffering with you. For 90 minutes, you're part of something bigger than yourself, and people will spend almost anything to feel that. Maybe that's why football became one of the biggest industries on earth. Not because kicking a ball is extraordinary, but because humans have always been looking for tribes. Football just gave us one. And maybe that's true of every industry that survives for generations. They're never really selling the product. They're selling identity. They're selling community. They're selling stories. Because stories outlive products. So maybe football was never really about football. Maybe the ball was just the excuse. Because long before stadiums, long before television, long before billion-dollar broadcasting deals, humans were already looking for a reason to stand beside strangers and say, "We're the same." Football just happened to become one of the best ways to do it. And maybe that's why it became worth hundreds of billions. Not because someone invented a better game, but because someone accidentally discovered one of the oldest human needs: to belong. The money came later. Belonging came first. But really, who is asking?